Guys, about DIY tree trimming and tree removal. We're removing this big tree, and a lot of people don't understand. They think, wow, why is it going to cost me so much money to have this removed? And I'm not a tree trimmer, I'm not a tree removal guy, but I have one of these. I have my own lifts and stuff because I do sign work. But I do know a little bit about it, and there's a reason why it costs what it costs to have it done. And if you're going to do it yourself, here's a couple of things to look at. I mean, do it at your own risk, first of all. If you get hurt doing it, don't come to me and say, hey man, you said, listen, I'm telling you, first of all, you might want to hire somebody to do it. Okay, second of all, people get killed all the time doing tree work, tree removal, that are amateurs that don't know what they're doing. So keep that in mind. It's very dangerous. Okay, so what you need to know, first of all, is not, a lot of people will try and take off too much at once. So like this, we've got a building really close, got a shed over here, got a fence I'm not worried about too much, but taking down the whole tree at once would not be very safe, because it had a lot going over the roof over here that I can't show you right now, because we've already taken it down. But what I want to talk to you guys about is some of the safety things to know. And what you need to know is each piece of wood, each branch, approximately how heavy it is, so you can I know what kind of damage it's going to do, if it's going to hurt something. So a lot of people miscalculate the weight of the branches, and then they don't realize, that branch is 2,000 pounds, and that falls to the ground, and it's going to do some damage, some serious damage. So they don't understand to do that, and so they make things wrong. So like this piece right here, this is about 100 pounds. Okay, just this one log is about 100 pounds. Okay, this one here is about 80 pounds right here, this log. So dropping that from 20 feet can do some damage. So some of the things that you could do to eliminate some of that is maybe split some of this up, throw some dirt on your sidewalks, things like that, so that it has something else to land on. Like when we drop this trunk right here, I'm going to try and drop it that way, but we'll put a bunch of wood, split up a bunch of wood, and I'll put it up here on, because I have a wood splitter, so I'll put up a bunch of wood up here so that if it does hit the concrete, it'll kind of soften the blow. Those are some of the things you do. And another thing you try and do is, see, we have this rope here, so you should catch rope off branches. But a lot of people say, if you're gonna rope off this branch, you want to be on this side of that branch cutting, and then have your rope set up so that the branch goes away from you every time. And it's better that it goes really far away from you than have it be too close to you. Also, you want to tie your ropes very up higher and then cut down lower, so that you have some leverage. Just use your brain. Think about what you're doing and the weight that you have on the end of that thing. So if you're thinking about that all the time, then that helps. Another thing is a lot of people make mistakes on is, look at the ratings of your rope. So this cheap rope that I have has a rating of 240 pounds. Okay, I have one that's 5,900 pounds. It looks very similar to this, but it's 240 pounds. So if you're taking down a branch, say you're taking down all the way from right here all the way up there, do you think a 240 pound rope is going to hold that branch? And the answer is hell no. It's going to snap, but how far is it going to move before it snaps? So those are the type of things. It's all about, when you're removing a tree, it's all about calculating the weight and looking at where it's going to fall. Some of the techniques you can use is you can move a tree branch a few feet by pulling on the branch sometimes. And sometimes when you cut it, it'll want to spin. You'll cut off the very end and you won't cut it, you won't get it just right, or the weight of the branch has unevenness and it'll want to spin when it comes off, and it's not always going to go where you want it to go, you think it's going to go. So you got to kind of calculate those things in. Don't just figure, hey, I'm going to put my car on this thing and I'm going to pull it 8 feet out of the wrong direction. First of all, if you do that, you better have a really, really big, thick rope, not one like this. You better have one. I'll show you what my other one's like. So this is the 5,900 pound rope right here. This is used for sailing, all kinds of stuff. It looks almost the same if you look at it, but it's not. It's totally different wound. The other one's a Harbor Freight Tools one. They're only 240 pounds, that's it. This one here is like 220. So a lot of guys will get out ladders and start to try and climb the tree with a ladder. You guys, that's really unsafe. There's a few people who can do it, okay? Professionals can do it sometimes. But what happens is if you set a ladder on a branch, okay, the ladder needs to have both of the feet anchored. So if it's on a branch, it can twist and then flip you right off of it. So it's really not safe to put ladders on trees. It's really not the way to go. So if you're using a ladder, you got to do it the right way, and most of the time it's tying it off and then turning you have little dig-in things on your feet. They should be turned in and dug into the ground. There's a whole bunch of things on ladder safety that you need to know before you even try that. Honestly, you should have, if you're doing climbing the tree, you should have safety lines set up. You should have all the proper equipment, and you're gonna spend $500, $600, $700 for that equipment, or just rent one of these. One of these are good, but you definitely need the harness, the safety harness, and be hooked in here. And a lot of people say, well, I'm gonna fall out. Yeah, maybe you won't fall out, but the reason that you have that is that if a branch catches you on the way down and bumps the lift, you're not going to fall out. You're at least going to be safety put in with the safety latch. So, I could tell you the one thing that I know about it is most of the time is not go too big on your branch. Take off smaller pieces and rope them down safely. Hook into a valley like that, and then rope off another piece and tie it off, and have a person on the ground and let it fall slowly, and then you'll know where it's going. So with that in mind, there's a couple rules to follow on that. So if you're trying to do this, one of the things not to do is do not take the rope and wrap it around your hand. People will go like this and they'll wrap it around their hand, okay? Or they'll tie it around their waist. You hold the rope with gloves on, okay? The reason you do that is if you miscalculated your weight of that branch and you have that thing wrapped around your hand, there's been people before that when that branch comes down, they go up. And guess what happens when you go up? You come back down. And how high are you going to be when you come back down if you're wrapped up in that thing? Never tie the rope around your waist. If you need to tie it off to something, tie it off to something heavy like a vehicle or something stable, and then stay the hell away from that rope, because if that branch is too heavy and it snaps, it's going to be ugly. And and always keep it tight and don't put slack in it, because if you have slack in it, say this is a 240-pound rope, right? And I'm dropping a 200-pound branch with it, which is really easy to get a 200-pound branch. It doesn't take much to get 200 pounds on a branch. So you drop a 200-pound branch and it gets slack in this rope, then that branch is now, by the time the rope gets full tension, might be 800 pounds, so it's going to snap the rope. So those are the types of things you need to think about. That's why they have 5,900-pound ropes. That's why they have, that's why the equipment for doing this stuff is tens of thousands of dollars. Some of these guys have in their equipment, or more. If they have bucket trucks, it could be $100,000 in equipment or more. So listen, if you're gonna take it on yourself to be your own tree guy, do your homework, be safe. Don't just go at this with ignorance and figure a bunch of tree guys are a bunch of idiots and I'm a smart person and I'm gonna do it because they're a bunch of dumbasses, because it's not really true. They're actually a lot of these guys are pretty well professional people, and they know what they're doing. And a few of them are stupid, and they probably won't live very long. So, in fact, I've seen a couple guys die, which isn't very fun, but happened right at my friend's house when he was having a tree guy up there. He was on drugs and he made a mistake, cut the freaking rope, and died right there. So, anyway, all right, I'll talk to you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.